Anybody ever seen the movie Boiler Room?
Love it.
Yeah, great movie, right? Any stockbrokers in the room? Good, okay, I can make this joke. Boiler Room is a great movie. It was maybe 11, 12, 15 years ago or something. It was a while ago. And it was a kind of small independent movie about these boiler room stock brokerage houses that would operate underground, basically, swindle people out of their money, and disappear. Okay? Now, what if you had never worked with a stockbroker before, and you saw this movie, and the next day, you met a stockbroker? Whoo! You're out of there. You're gone, right? You're not going to talk to that person. You're going to be freaked out. Now, you may have the wherewithal to know that not all stockbrokers are like that, etc. Or, if you never saw the movie, but you worked with a stockbroker that you didn't have a good experience with, you now have a preconceived notion of what a stockbroker does, do you not?
Absolutely.
Of course. The same thing is true for a yoga teacher, right? What if you were a yoga teacher and you met somebody and they said, "Hi, how are you?" And you said, "I'm great." And they said, "What do you do?" And you said, "I'm a yoga teacher." And they went, "Oh." I lived next door to a yoga teacher once. Let me tell you about it. It was so bad I had to move out of the apartment, and I love that apartment. And they start going into this story, right? Every night she was coming home, banging on the drums, the incense. She was really weird. All these friends with the weird hair and the dreadlocks. Now, this person may not get past your red velvet rope policy, but you get the point, is that we all have preconceived notions about what people do if they give us a professional category. It's not always wrong to give a professional category. I'm not suggesting that. Sometimes it can help clarify. Meaning, if you're a chiropractor, say I'm a chiropractor, it's fine. But you generally want to then move into being able to have a dialogue with people based on why they buy what you're selling. So if you've already done the work in the second part of the foundation, you can have a great conversation that lasts 3 seconds, 30 seconds, 3 minutes, 3 weeks, 3 months, or 3 years. It doesn't matter. And I want to take us away from this concept of the elevator speech. Have you ever heard of the elevator speech? Anybody not heard of an elevator speech? Okay, an elevator speech, basically, concept of an elevator speech is that if you're in an elevator with somebody or other people, and it's going up to the 5th floor, you've got 20 seconds, 30 seconds to get out how great you are, why they should hire you, before those doors open. Now, I'm from New York City. Let me show you what you do when you're in an elevator in New York City. This is what you do. You guard your privates. Same thing, anybody ever taken the subway in New York City? You guard, I'm not kidding, you guard your privates. Not always, but it works for the joke. So I was from New York City, and this concept of the elevator speech, at first I kind of bought into it because that's what everybody said you were supposed to do. Okay, I would prepare, I'd have a script, I'd work on it, I'd rehearse it. Now, guys, I don't know if you know, but I started out as an actor, and I was sort of slightly famous, I had a modicum of success. So I could read a script, but I couldn't do this. And I couldn't figure out why. And I realized it's because nobody wants to listen to an elevator speech. Do you want to listen to an elevator speech? No. Do you love giving your elevator speech? Do you hate giving your elevator speech? Yes. So you never have to do it again, ever. And if anybody who tells you you have to, you tell them to come find me and I'll talk to them. What I want you to do is think about the concept of what you knew about an elevator speech and get rid of the idea that you have only a short period of time where you have to prove something. We've got to stop having to prove ourselves. And we have a conversation that starts with who you serve, what their needs and desires are, what specific offerings you make them, and the return on investment your average client gets. But this is a conversation that will never go the same way twice. You don't need to feel pressured to have it all, or it turns into a speech. Because if you follow the book Your Self-Solid Way, we like to call it, then If you meet somebody that you believe you're meant to serve or you'd like to create a professional relationship with, you're going to follow up with them and build a relationship with them over time. So what we need to do actually is slow down. I think the more we slow down this sales process, the faster we actually get booked solid. Because we can build more meaningful relationships with people. And that's when we get hired. Isn't that true? Is that true?
Yes.
Yeah. So, if somebody says, what do? You might say, well, I help these people do this. Oh, interesting. You say, well, yes, it is. In fact, and then you might start to talk about the specific target market that you serve. You know how these men, women, children, etc., these businesses, etc., right? You know how they have some of these problems, some of these issues. You start to talk about, oh, yes, exactly. You know something? I don't have that, but my sister Sally, I think, is going through that right now. So you might say, well, if she's going through that, is this happening or is this happening? Would she actually prefer to have this? Well, you know, I never talked to her about it, but I imagine so. It's very interesting. Well, what I do is this. Now, you might say, you know, I am a chiropractor and I use these types of techniques. Or you might say, I use chiropractic techniques for which I am certified by the blah, 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 right? And I also use this and this and this. Because many of you guys use different modalities to serve your clients, do you not? Yes. Yeah. And so when you try to lump it into a category, it doesn't work as well. So you might use, I use this, I do this, use it, et cetera, et cetera. I invest in mutual funds, stocks, et cetera, blah, 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 blah. So that, and then you talk about the return on investment. Now, they might interrupt you, they might start talking for you, and actually say the whole thing in your place. But the point is, we shouldn't feel like we have to just get it out there right away. If we really care about making a connection, then we're going to follow up, and this is going to come out over time. But now you know how to talk about it. It's not scripted. It very rarely will go the same way twice. And it's more meaningful. And it gives you a feeling of confidence, and people see you as more secure. And you're also not going, well, I kind of do a little, and so, and then some, I do also kind of, you know, I help people who, and then some, well, it's hard to explain. I gotta pee. Right? Which is often what happens. But think about this. Now, remember all those marketing strategies that people said, you gotta go do this, you gotta go do this, you gotta do this? When you do just the few that you feel are in integrity for you, that you feel comfortable with, then when they come back to you, they land on your foundation with you. They get your red velvet rope policy. They understand that you understand them. You can connect with them about who they are, what their needs are, what kind of return on investment they're going to get, results and benefits, right? They understand and connect to the reason that you do what you do, and they really love your brand identity, what you stand for, and they're able to have a conversation with you that they just get what you do. Much easier. Now, you're set up to move into more of a sales process. That's the trust and credibility section. That's where we move to next.